everybody, my name is MetalMusicMan.
And I'm Professor Lex.
And welcome to episode 54 of the Metal and Lex podcast.
Thank you. Dear viewer, you made it.
It is a beautiful spring-like day.
It's simultaneously freezing outside and too hot.
It's a little cold and a little not. It's better than yesterday. I'll give it that. It's about 5 degrees warmer than yesterday, which is nice.
Yesterday was cool and great outside until I went outside into the world, and then immediately it was 70 degrees, and I felt like an idiot for wearing a sweater, like a hoodie.
It was never 70 yesterday.
It was 66. It wasn't 70. It was 66. I'm rounding to the nearest 70 degrees.
That's you.
I hate if I can change the total topic of this podcast today. I just fucking hate the sun, heat. If I could do away with temperatures above 50, I would. So just be grateful, listeners, that I don't have that kind of power.
50 is too it's too cold. It's not like cold, but like if I'm an ideal temperature being 50, you're crazy, man.
No, the ideal temperature is like slightly above freezing.
Oh my god, you're nuts.
Like 36.
You make no sense. What's wrong with you?
And I'd have it colder, but then people would complain and the streets would get icy.
You actually prefer that low of a temperature over like 55 or 60?
100 times out of 100. I would always rather it be freezing.
Crazy man.
Dude, I'm always running hot. I'm hot now. I've got these hot hands, and if I put my hot hands on either side of your head, you would cook really slowly.
Is this your superpower?
Yeah, it's awful. Hot hands.
I'm halfway through watching Iron Man 3 because I don't even know what's wrong with me. And,
watch Atlanta, Will.
And that's a commitment, Alex.
No, it's not.
Dumb, bad Marvel movies just be bad and dumb. And my point is, spoiler alert for 10-year-old Marvel films, but there's like I literally just watched right when you called me. It was in the middle of the scene where Guy Pearce is like, "I have these hot hands, and I'm gonna touch you, and they're gonna make you hot." And it was literally like,
that's my superpower.
That's you. You're that guy.
It's awful.
Anyway, so
highly sympathetic villains in Iron Man 3.
It's nice out. You're weird and you make no sense. And it should be like 55 to 65 or even higher. 55 is even too. I feel like 60.
This is what you're requesting, or this is what you're saying the weather is?
Yes.
It says, according to my phone, which is very precise, it's 52 and there's a river flood warning.
No, yeah. No, I'm not saying it's currently. Excuse me. Okay. It is currently 56 according to my phone.
Okay.
So this is a weather podcast now, guys. Hope you're
we'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah,
I can't wait for people not just tomorrow, because I know a lot of people listen to this on Monday mornings. But people weeks from now will be listening back on this and say, "Damn, they really did have an account of the weather.
They really knew about it. I wish I was there.
It's like they were living it."
So anyway, our actual topic this week is about Evo.
But I want to hold on.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry, I've got. Yeah, you're going in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're putting the trolley before the horse. I have to talk about. I got the vaccine, the first round of the vaccine yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right. Welcome to the halfway mark of vaccination.
I have to wait like a month or something. It's not actually. It's the 12th.
I get my second one on the 6th.
Yeah, that adds up because you got yours about a week before I got mine.
Yeah.
Did you, when they were, in general, when you get vaccinated or when you give blood, do you watch them put the needle in?
Yes, and it bothered me because I always do watch them put the needle in, and she wouldn't let me watch her put the needle in.
You know why?
No.
The needle's so fucking long. It's honestly, I thought it was going to poke out my armpit.
First of all, it went into your armpit. What?
No. She put it in the top of my shoulder, and it was going to go all the way through.
She hit it. She hit it, and I didn't really think about it at the time because I was just like, I normally I put my arm out and I just stare at him and I watch it go into my arm, and sometimes the nurses are cool about it, and other times they're freaked out because they think I'm a sociopath, which is probably rightfully so. But I like watching it go in and connecting. I just kind of stare at it and I let it go into my flesh and do some stuff. And she turned in a weird way, and it was like her whole back butt was in my way, and I couldn't see anything. And then I just felt the needle and the pain. And it was, I will say, I don't understand why people look away. Because to me, looking away and then feeling the needle, I don't know if it actually was worse or not, but that is worse for me. Because then you're like, you don't know what's going on. But if I'm watching it go into my arm and I'm feeling the pain and I'm knowing that, some people, they say that's weird. And they say that freaks them out that I'm that way. I've had people like think that was
I've
weird.
had that same complaint, but it makes
to me, I think that makes the most sense. I want to know, like, if you're cutting my fucking wiener off, I want to watch you do it so I know what to expect, you know? Weird example.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Wait.
But,
no, because like you can sit there and you can make the mental connection between the pain and the needle, and like otherwise I'm worried like if I'm just standing there minding my own business and someone sneaks a needle into my arm, then I'll say and like jump or whatever, jump 3 feet in the air, and then there's a whole chance that I'll have an entire needle in my arm. He did grab the muscle, the meat of my shoulder, and he was like, "You're gonna want to relax that, man. You gotta not be so stiff and so tense." And I was like, "Yeah, probably. Just fucking do it, man." And so he drove all 3 feet of the needle into my arm, and I can understand why he wanted it to relax, because you're not getting it just into the flesh. It's like an intramuscular thing.
Relax, yeah, when you get the shots,
the deep ones. Well,
quit flexing. Bruh.
Yeah, well, I'm not flexing. I'm a tense guy. I carry a lot of tension.
You do. That fucking public urinal comic that I saw the other day.
Lord.
Was
that was just me.
I could not relate to it. It was just a comic about being afraid of peeing in urinals or something, basically, and having urinal peeing anxiety. And I didn't even think it was funny, except that I immediately just was like, this is about Alex. And then it was hilarious. I was like, why would anyone write a comic like this? No one does this. I'm like, wait a minute, Alex. Have I shared
that story on the podcast?
I assume that you have. Yeah, if you haven't, spoiler alert, Alex does not like being in public.
I have a shy bladder.
I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. So yeah, the comic is just like, it's like what's in the person who's got the shy bladder's head. And it's like the guy next to him is like, hey, wait a minute, what's that guy doing? He's not peeing at all. He's just holding his dick. And like, and the like the morbid horror on the guy's face.
Yeah, that's me. Every time I go to the bathroom in public,
I
don't make the rules.
Like,
no.
Like what in your brain? Like, I just don't. You know, there are things that you can understand and you can empathize every now and then, like once in every 1,000 things. If you're me,
it's probably better odds.
That is not one of those things. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Like, are you really worried about, like, is it because you're so worried about what the other person thinks of you?
No, I don't care. Gays, look ye mighty in despair. It's fine. Like I'm totally comfortable being there. It's just if someone sees me or talks to me while I'm trying to go to the bathroom, it's like a valve shuts off. I lose my ability to pee.
It's so fun to talk while you're peeing next to somebody, though. You can be like, how about that pee that we're peeing?
Not. You're part of the problem.
I mean, I don't play battleships with people. I don't want to fucking... No. Well, I don't talk to random people in a urinal. That's fucking weird.
It's always random
But
people.
if you and we go and we see a movie, we're like, hey, how about fucking Superman while we pee?
It probably... If it's just you and me in the urinal, then I'm probably fine. It's not going to be like
that's
it's
like
not going to be a
most
confident
manly
flow,
thing I do. That's so weird. Like I have so few. No, just talking to people while I'm peeing. There are so few I have so few like normal testosterone traits. And like I feel like I grew up as a kid just peeing in the wilderness, you know, because my family is. You never. This must be it. You know what it is? It's because I'm so white. Yeah, it's because I'm so white, and my family, as all white people do, they go on a mecca into the woods for no reason. Like their favorite thing to do.
Specific woods? I'm not as white as you are, so you'll have to help. You have to help explain it to me.
Who has to stand up about this? It's like, why do white people like the fucking outdoors so much? Like they just want to go camping because there's a fucking stand up. I can't think of who it was, but it's one of my favorite ones because I was like, hey, that's my whole family. That's my mom's entire fucking family tree where they're just like, we want to go out into the wilderness and camp. Like, that's why. I'm definitely ripping that off of a comedian and I can't think of whose it is. Anyway, so yeah, you pee outside all the time because you're just out there and there's no toilets because you're in the wilderness the way nature intended it. And you're just
the way Bear Grylls intended it.
So you couldn't pee in the wilderness, you don't think? Like if you were stranded on an island, would you die of holding in your own urine?
Yeah, get a bladder infection and die. If I'm stranded on a desert island, I could probably pee because
Okay.
by nature there'd be no one there to say, "Hey, this guy's just
What
holding
if
his
what
weed."
if you were stranded on a desert island like with me, and I kept peeing in front of you, but like
So confidently.
yeah,
Nah, man, I'd die. Bladder infection and death. It's a 2-step process, and then I'd be gone.
Okay.
And then you'd be able to pee as much and as frequently and as proudly as you wanted.
which I would have already been doing anyway.
Well, yeah,
Which,
nothing would change for you.
nothing. Oh man! So if an Alex pees alone in the woods, does anyone hear it?
Hear it? Hopefully not me.
God, I fucking hate that question. That's stupid, pseudo-intellectual. Anyway, what were we talking about? Peeing? You were peeing.
Peeing, getting the big ass needle in my arm.
Needles. Yeah, needles.
And then they have the observation.
You got to wait for 15 minutes.
Well, the guy told me I had to wait for 30 minutes, but I just left.
30? Oh,
don't do that, kids.
They only told me.
Well,
15.
okay. So the guy stuck all 12 feet of the needle into my arm, and then he was like, "You gotta go to the visitation, the observation deck, and just sit there for half an hour." And I was like, "Okay, bud, I'll do that." And so I walked over to the observation area, and the woman says, "Hi, we've got water bottles and peppermints for some reason. If you'd like to get these, feel free, and then just wait here for 15 minutes or 30 minutes." Or 30 minutes, if that's how long they told you to wait. And I was like, okay.
Why
and
would
I
you
sat
have to
next
wait
to the
longer?
door. I don't know.
That's so weird to me. Is there some people that got the shot that day had to wait 15 minutes, but they looked at you and they were like, "No, this guy's a 30-minute."
He's gonna have a reaction.
What is that? What is that about?
I don't know. Okay. So I do have a habit of when I donate blood, trying to faint.
Okay.
And that's not from the side of the blood, but from I'm really good at bleeding.
Yes.
Been bleeding my whole life, and they when they go in, they tap it like so many kegs, and I just runneth over, right? But I don't think that figures into this. I think
they wouldn't know
I don't
even
know
if it did. You're not on a list, right? You're not on some.
Well, I mean, I did mark
blood donor.
Can you not, Isaac?
Your cat is just humping the window profusely in the background.
Yeah, he's pulling the chair apart, the cushion of the chair. I gave him this chair so he could sit in the window, and not so that he could destroy my furniture. Anyway, I did check black on race as well as white. Did you have a little questionnaire that you filled out while you were in line to get your vaccine?
Yeah, I checked all the white people things. Is there a fucking white privilege for how long you have to wait for a COVID shot? This is
maybe.
Look, man, I'm trying to be woke, but this is getting to be goddamn ridiculous. You're fucking telling
15 extra minutes.
You're fucking telling me I get to save 15 minutes of my life that fucking black people don't get to, just even during COVID shots? Come on, man.
Think if they vaccinate the entire country, every black and white person in these states. That's what we have. How many black man hours are we going to lose? 15 minutes at a time.
At least twice as many.
Dude, we're getting set back months
as the whites.
as a race.
Oh my god.
Sound off in the comments if you only waited 15 minutes in the observation area.
Also, please tell us your race and or ethnicity.
And social security number as long as you're there.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's my... the mayor was there. You guys don't know, but my girlfriend fought the mayor. Not actually.
What?
I don't want to share too much of the story because I'm not trying to dox Jen, but the mayor of the city in which I am, she was mean, and so I had to mean mug the mayor. She didn't notice. She's so aloof. She's so far above the rest of us. I'll tell you about this story off stream. Don't you worry. Okay. But
you have just blue-balled the entire audience with a story about fighting a mayor. I don't understand why it's doxing either. Is your address relevant?
She was kind of self-conscious about it, so I'm not trying to embarrass her.
So not doxing. Okay.
No. But if you guys want, imagine that Jen, her hair turned bright gold, and her muscles started rippling, and then she fought the mayor,
in Iron Man, where she was so angry that she. Just like
similar.
You guys are
similar to that. I was going for the Planet Namek battle. At
no. You guys are taking
the
the substance from Iron Man 3, and you're gonna blow each other up, and somehow
with hot hands.
Yeah, your hands are they're too hot. That's why it's got to be 34 degrees out. It's got to be a cool,
it must
crisp
be by
34. Law. Well, anyway, so after you fought the mayor and stuff, you were
the law won.
You were shot up.
I got vaccination part 1. Part 2's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Did you get the foozle boozle doozle shot or the Mergargle?
No,
Dargle,
I got the Moderna.
Everyone I know
got
Moderna.
Pfizer.
Everyone I know got Pfizer. I got Moderna. So anyway, when you and I grow a third arm,
die.
Or die, then we'll know why that is. So pretty cool.
Shout outs to what's his face, the governor Parsons.
Yeah,
fucking hate that guy. Do you know about all this shit? That apparently no one's decided
he gave
to talk
all
about?
The things to the rural places,
rural areas.
And, here's a problem, Alex. When you get into places like St. Louis, right, and you compare that to somewhere like Louisiana, Missouri, which is a real place if you didn't know. The problem is there's just too many black people in St. Louis. And as we know, it takes twice as long for black people to wait in line. They got to wait 30 minutes after they get the shot. So it's not a racist thing, Alex. It's a logistical thing.
Yeah, it's a logistical problem.
You can get a lot more white people the shots because we only have to wait 15 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah.
We're in and out, all right? So So anyway, it makes perfect sense, man. You just can't take that personally, all right? That's just math.
It's
nature and math, man.
Yep.
Like it's
immutable facts of science.
Anyway, yes. So our governor is a piece of shit. If you didn't know, and he gave
deliberately holding out
way more vaccines to like random rural areas. Like if you look at the map of population density in Missouri, you would think that the higher population areas
would get the most vaccines.
Would get the most vaccines. Yeah, they would get the most vaccines, and they would get them sooner. But in fact, basically the opposite occurred, where he gave like such an exorbitant amount of vaccines to such low population areas that most people, even actually my buddy, I think said he drove like 2.5 hours to get his.
Well, yeah.
Because that's basically what a lot of people have to do because that's the only way you can get them.
And you heard that what they do is they take the vials, they take them off ice, and like defrost them, not actually, but they remove them from the refrigerations and get them up to temp so that they can put them in arms. They've been putting so many vaccines in such low population areas that a lot of vaccines have been spoiled as a result.
Yeah, they don't have enough, and they just got to get rid of them. That's actually how my parents got their vaccine initially, even though they got it in a more towards the city anyway. But it was the same deal where like it was like they opened up so many of them, and they have like the waiting list and everyone signed up, and then at some point they're just like, these are going to go bad. Show up unscheduled, and we'll just
we got them now.
We'll just put the stuff in your butt. And so they got it pretty early because of one of those weird situations where there was like, but yeah, it's very silly. It's a silly dumb thing. I remember he tried to like.
The word is not silly. It's deliberate. They did a sunshine request and found that it was like intentional.
What the fuck is a sunshine request, Alex?
Freedom of Information Act, FOIA
That's
request.
Not how you spell sunshine.
We call them colloquially sunshine requests.
Okay.
That's where you're allowed as a citizen of wherever to ask the government, hey, why come it is that you did this thing like this? There's a lot of stuff that you can't get. Like you can't go to the city government and say, hey, I'd like Alex's social security number. Because he is a worker, I would like to know what his social security number is. You can't do that. But you can say, hey, did you deliberately make plans to do some sort of an ethnic cleanse on the basis of coronavirus? And they have to tell you. And the answer is yes, but apparently that doesn't matter.
Alex, look, man, I think you're just taking this way too far. Like I said, it's just a matter of time. All right, simple logistics. It takes twice as long. We know this, so
I'm gonna throw my cat out. I'm gonna bounce him.
Goodbye, cat. Oh, you threw your cat out. Welcome back.
Thank you. It took me several minutes, but I'm here. I'm back now. Isaac has been 86.
Process. He's been out. So anyway, so you got your shot though, and everything's good, and that's pretty much you're caught up there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing the story about how you murdered the mayor later. But for now, we will
I'm not going to do that. That's parody.
We will transition. That'll be the piece of this that I do snip out and put up as like a 30-second clip on YouTube that goes viral.
Lord. Yeah, and then there I go.
News tonight at 11. Angry, unconsolable, very black man, so distraught over his 30-minute wait time, murders the mayor of the governor of all things. Oh my God, yeah, can't wait. What a legacy. All right, so I'm batting 1,000 here today. Let's go me. All right, so the real story today, other than giant needles that we're not allowed to see, is that Evo, which for those
fighting game tournament.
Yeah, for those of you who only know about fighting games because you listen to us. Why do you listen to us? Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yay. Evo is the most prestigious fighting game tournament in the world. It has a long history. It was doing cool big esports things before esports were things.
It's consistently gotten the biggest numbers, even though it's maybe not the best logistically ran tournament compared to like a Combo Breaker or UFGT. It is the biggest one, and that's the one to go to. That is the fighting game mecca. That's the one that everyone has to make the pilgrimage to.
Yeah. The thing Alex is talking about is just like a bunch of hipster shit, which only we super duper nerds care. And Combo Breaker is a great tournament that I like, but like for the outside world, a Combo Breaker doesn't matter. For the outside world, the only
it's not going to make the news.
The only thing anybody knows about is Evo. Evo gets like thousands of views, and it's the big one. If you remember a couple years back, Evo had that whole snafu where Nintendo tried to not let them stream Melee, which was fucking wild. That was in 2013. So yeah, it's the one that always gets news, and so the recent rung of it, if you remember our longest week episode, was that one of the co-founders. There are 3 people basically that deal with Evo. 2 of them are the Cannon brothers, Tom and Tony Cannon, who work for Riot now and are making Lay Riot fighting game. The other one is
Joey
Queller, Mr. Wizard, and I don't know. I guess Mr. Wizard like paid some 8-year-old boys in chocolate to go like swim around in a fountain and
topless
let
and whatever.
Let them look at them or something.
Yeah,
so pretty cool. So anyway, going forward, Evo got bought by Sony today.
Yes. There was no Evo last year because of the Mr. Wizard thing
and because of Mr. Wizard. Yeah. So last year Evo didn't happen because Corona already made it hard, and then also we found out Mr. Wizard like looked at boys playing in fountains or something 20 years ago. So Sony buys Evo, and so that's your backstory. I promise all of that's relevant, but we're not going to get into that immediately because that's Alex's turn. I'm going to just break in with Okay, so let me read like part of this. So, a message to our community: Evo would not be possible without the collective passion and collaboration of the fighting community, and we're deeply grateful for your dedication over the past 25 years. We know last year was challenging due to the pandemic and the circumstances surrounding the cancellation of Evo Online, involving a former team member who has been completely separated from our company. We want to reaffirm that harassment or abuse of any kind has no place. Blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada. And we're thrilled to announce that Sony owns our butthole. So that was that's
a loose paraphrasing. You started off saying it verbatim.
And then I realized there were 5 paragraphs, and that's basically what they said. So Evo puts this out, and Sony owns them now. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Not the least of which is that Sony already a couple of years back basically bought all of like Street Fighter V because Street Fighter is stupid.
They paid for the exclusivity.
They misuse all their funds, yada yada. So like Street Fighter used to be, before Street Fighter V, it was on Xbox and PlayStation and PC. Now it's just on PC and PlayStation. And so Street Fighter V has like the big money. So this is all because of Sony. So this is why when people are like, oh, how come you don't think like Street Fighter 4 will make a comeback the way Melee did? It's because there's just so much money getting shit into Street Fighter V that even though everybody fucking hates it and it's awful, there's just no chance anybody's going to spend any real time on another game because it gets all this money from Sony. So this is a good thing and a bad thing, always has been.
It is a thing.
So, but Sony has already been there with Street Fighter, and now Sony fucking owns Evo. So the big huggabaloo in the community is, oh, what does this mean for like non-Sony games? Which basically means non-Street Fighter games. So on the one hand, if you're a Street Fighter fan, this probably doesn't really make any difference at all because Sony already owns they don't own Street Fighter, but they basically own Street Fighter. And now they literally own Evo.
Yes.
So it probably doesn't mean anything. So then there's like smashers who are saying some shit and doing things. And so the part I want to talk about is the continuing obnoxious stupidity of, quote, Smash versus the FGC, unquote.
Sure.
Which, as you all know, I am bi gameshul, as we've coined. And so I have a unique lived experience that no one else can.
Totally valid.
Let me just bask in this for a moment as my like. Ooh, I get to be marginalized! Yay! It's every white person's fucking wet dream. Let me tell you all about how I get to be marginalized now. So basically, it's fucking dumb. It's fucking stupid. Smash is good. Street Fighter fighting game stuff is good. But there's always this weird rift, and the things that I have read were immediately on this announcement. All the Smash people were like, just a reminder that fucking Smash has outgrown Evo, and we don't need Evo anymore, and we probably never did. But even if we did need Evo, we definitely don't now, and Evo was always just holding us back. And so that's like the fucking dumbasses on that side.
What a hot take.
And then, well, that's true and false. I'll get to that in a minute. But it is stupid the way it's said, for sure. Like, no question. So then on the flip side, there's all these fucking fighting game people that are just like, ooh, buy fucking Smash kitties. Fucking Sony owns Evo now. Like, yay, we don't have to fucking deal with blah, blah, blah. So it's just fucking, it's so stupid on both sides. Before I dive into that, though, Nintendo did officially say, and this is a tweet from IGN in an article, quote, Nintendo will continue to assess Evo and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Super Smash Bros. Tournament activity. So, as usual, Nintendo says a thing but doesn't say anything. And Nintendo could be saying that they're done forever, or they could be saying that everything will be fine, and they will never commit to anything and will always keep everyone on the edge of their seat wondering as to... Nintendo is an abusive partner, basically. Nintendo never lets you feel safe or secure and always wants you to know that it could walk away at any moment and fuck you in the ass, or it might support you and love you. So this just continues to fuel the fires of awfulness. So to touch on, before we get into the more Sony side of things, to touch on the stupidity of this. So there... I hate so much sometimes the way this shit perpetuates, and there are other times when it's like fine to be funny. Like I was talking to Pharaoh the other day about our Kappa and like the way everybody shits on Smash Bros, and he was like, oh, like they actually do hate it. And I'm like, you know, there are people who do, but I also feel like it's just a funny meme. And like I'm in the camp personally of like, if you're making like a well-intentioned joke about how Smash Brothers players are like afraid of, you know, doing quarter circle inputs, and you're just giving them shit and ribbing.
That's
I'm
funny.
super fine with that. I think it's really funny. But if you legitimately think that like that's a thing, like come the fuck on, like I don't know. And it's hard because they're like all things, like slightly racist jokes. They have that are funny. Yeah, hang on. I'm about to do some gamer words. No, but like, so it's like, you know, maybe like slightly like there's like humor. Like we talked about, I don't remember what podcast it was, but like things that are racist but are still funny, that are punching up versus punching down. And while they may be funny and have like some support in one way, which I do think is a thing, I will say, I'm not about. Don't quote me as saying there's merit to racism, because that's not where I'm trying to go. But I'm trying to like there are things that like you can. It's like, you know, the whole PC versus non-PC argument where like, is this helpful? Is it not? And even if you're making a comment that you think is rooted in something that's good, like, and you're ribbing by trying to like, you know, give someone shit, it can still have the side effect of just doing the negative part because said, you know about this.
I do as a
you're
black
a non-white person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same. My point is basically I understand the struggle of black people because I play Smash Brothers, Alex. And so this gives me carte blanche.
Use the N-word.
So anyway, Nintendo. Yeah. I can say it now. But like it is, I mean, as stupid as that is, it is an analogous situation, right? Like obviously that's not, and when I say analogous, I don't mean identical.
Lower.
When I say, I feel like you always, whenever I say something's analogous, you look at me like I think, like you look at me like what you think I'm saying is
racism
the same. Like analogous does not mean identical. Analogous does not mean identical. So
I know what you're saying.
So I think it's an analogous situation where then you have like people who actually do hate on the Smash Bros. Actually saying these things, and then you've got other people who are ribbing, and the Smash races, and then then
people partaking of institutional Smash racism.
Yeah,
but in a lighthearted way. I see what you're saying.
So that's definitely a real thing, and a thing like this just like drums all of that bullshit up. It drums it all up, and you've got people who like, oh my god, like I'm not gonna name any names, but there are like some fighting game community and Smash community people who I have an amount of respect for, who are saying shit because of this that like you just look at it and you think like it's kind of like, it's like when your friend does some shit and you're like, I'm not gonna unfriend you or anything, but I'm kind of disappointed.
Speak for yourself.
Dude,
the whole George Floyd protest, I thinned the herd of my Facebook.
Well, that's way easier because it's actual racism, but I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm But I'm saying like that's my point. Okay, so my point is not. This what I have run into thus far is not, making fun of George Floyd for dying levels of shit.
Sure.
Both literally in terms of the subject matter, but also in terms of if we're carrying along the analogy. Like it's not quite that level. It's more like It's more like it's more benign than that. But like it's some shit that I've read on my feed from people who I'm like, man, I really expected better. Of these people for that. So that is an element that you can't really get away from. But what I wish it really was about, instead of that, which it can't be, but whatever. But I wish it really was just about the what it means for the tournament and all of that, but what I think the reason some of that comes up is because it's like this is seen now as like, well, now Evo was already kind of establishment, even though it was never anything but grassroots, because it was like so big, and now Evo is like officially establishment, and so the Smash players are like, we don't fucking need them, blah 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 blah, and you're laughing, but like they really don't. I do have to side, and I'm not saying that this is a way they should be, or that it makes any sense. But I do think one of the reasons there is so much animosity is because Smash, it doesn't really need the FGC. The FGC doesn't really need Smash. The issue to me is that they should all just be the same thing because they're all fighting games. But if you are looking at how they've been built, I think one of the main causes for the animosity is that Smash did build a lot in its own way. And that's not to say it never benefited from or used things like, certainly Evo 2013's drama was a huge boon to just the Smash community, especially the Melee community. But also the only reason there was that drama is because of all the stuff they had already done, like the Smash Brothers documentary that came out around that time and like all of that. So like there's a lot of like old guard FGC people who are like, oh no, Smash, you need to pay your dues. Fuck you for not sucking our dick. And then there's a lot of Smash players that are just like, why the fuck do I have to suck your dick? Fuck you. And so it just kind of drives that home. And I think this purchase is going to
drive the wedge further.
It's either going to do it further, or it's going to depend on what Sony does and what Nintendo does. And if Sony and Nintendo can be cool and they can just allow things to be normal, I think it'll be fine and good. But the second that there is some shit like Nintendo, the second Nintendo comes any more down on this non-response that they had, where they're like, we'll continue to monitor. The second Nintendo is like, we can't do it because Sony, or the second Sony is like trying to say some shit about Nintendo or whatever.
Yeah.
All of these fucking, this is what I've been building to, so I promise that I did have a point. All these people on both sides of this wedge are like all the fighting people are like, fuck you, Smash kiddies, and all the fucking dumb Smash kiddies are gonna be like, fucking, we never did that, blah blah blah, and it's just gonna. So I don't think this is gonna start the Smash apocalypse or anything, but I do think that I do think there was already some like weird thin ice, and I think this buyout is like if the wrong moves are made, this is exactly what all of these fucking dramatic fucking dumbasses on both sides have like been looking for to like cause this drama. And it's possible that drama will do something good in terms of, you know, people will rally against it in a weird positive way, but I think it's way more likely that it's just going to like further this weird, stupid, unnecessary rift that shouldn't exist. Anyway, those are my thoughts and my information. And Alex has probably thoughts on this and some information from Sony's side. So take it away, Alex.
On the Smashpocalypse, I feel like the easy way to phrase this is that we all should get along, because even if Smash isn't a one-to-one fighting game equivalent like of Street Fighter, it is still enough of a fighting game that it has a place at Evo.
Yeah,
it's going to be
a different genre. Just to make that's clear. So you have 2D fighters and 3D fighters and 2.5D fighters, and then you have platform fighters.
And that's what it's still a fighting game. It's not a fighting game, but it's still a fighting game.
No, see that part? That's your Smash racism.
That's my implicit Smash Bros. Bias.
That's your You have to. What's the? Yeah, implicit bias. No, that's it. Yeah, we all have implicit bias about certain, you know, races or creeds, or religions, or genres of video games. And Alex, you can't get rid of that in yourself. You just have to know that it exists, and you have to work against it. Okay. All right.
The first step is admitting that you have this implicit bias, and then there's no other step. You just have to do that over and over again.
Like I said, Smash is literally identical to the struggle of races in America. And that's why everything is a complete 1-to-1, and and this is all.
That's perfect. What the word analogous means. I would be sad if Smash wasn't at Evo. As someone who only plays Smash socially or whatever, I think it has a place there, and I think this would be a really easy time for Sony, who is if people haven't like put together from context clues, Sony makes consoles, and a lot of video games aren't on the consoles that Sony makes. So Smash Brothers, Killer Instinct, other stuff that I could think of but can't.
Killer Instinct's a good example too, because it's a more direct competitor. Like Nintendo is certainly a competitor to Sony, but when you think about the console war, Nintendo is like a mushroom growing in the corner, and like Sony and Xbox are, you know, a badger fighting a weasel. You know, they're like actually going head to head, while Nintendo's just kind of like off doing its thing. And
it will do its thing regardless of what they feel about it.
Yeah.
I think this would be it would be peculiar to me if Sony decided to give a platform to games like Killer Instinct and Smash Brothers. But if we take that like one step further, would they feel inclined to give a platform to Skullgirls, famed big titty fighting game? It's having a resurgence. It's got a season pass out now. There's a new character for the first time in, I don't know, like 5 years or whatever. Does Sony feel like that's the kind of game that they want to associate with their brand? Because now that they own Evo, they have an ethical responsibility to their shareholders to ensure content quality. So it's up to them now in a way that it never has been. They've always been like there on the sidelines, sort of puppeteering things with regards to Street Fighter V, and now Guilty Gear is going to be.
I wouldn't say I don't have any inkling of that irrational fear, but I do think that is what it is. It could be that occurs, and we could deal with like the marketing apocalypse. But the main reason I don't give that more than the acknowledgement of the irrational background fear that I would just compartmentalize into a box. Like, I think that the main reason I think that really is all this is because we've been there already with Sony buying Street Fighter, and we had the costume apocalypse where you had to pick a certain alternate costume for characters because there was too much skin.
Oh, right.
And I would like to, if I could fucking just, you know, swallow my red pill and be a men's rights activist for a moment.
Wait.
I know that I'm memeing, but like, I do hate the fucking double standards of where, when this happened. Okay, so hang on, what happened is,
back up.
What happened is there are certain costumes in Street Fighter V that were deemed too risque
sexy for television.
to be streamed, because we were streaming Street Fighter on ESPN
Yeah.
on actual broadcast television when this was happening for Street Fighter 5. And shit, I'm sorry, I'm derailing hard because I'm me. I would like to say, first of all, that I do think personally some of the, and in fact a lot of the costumes in Street Fighter 5 are actually a lot more risque than Street Fighter 4. I would like to say just flat out. I would look at and obviously I love Street Fighter 4, so take this with whatever grain of salt you think is necessary, but it is my opinion that there is no better comparison than the Chun-Li like nightgown outfit. Yeah. Her like, our we'll say ballroom outfit, I guess. Nightgown's not right. Yeah, she has like a fancy dress outfit. Mm-hmm. And that exact same costume is in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. And if you look at the difference, it is my opinion that it is a fact that the Street Fighter 4 one is tasteful. It is certainly like it's a sexy outfit. It's a sexy outfit, but it's like she's got like a high thigh. It looks like there's like an art styling to it that is like so prevalent in 4, where even though the graphics are worse, there's a particular art style. But in 5, all of the models are outsourced. And it's like they just have like a check mark that says like, I don't know, make it really fucking sexy for no reason. And when you look at Chun-Li's Street Fighter 5 like ball gown outfit, it's like her fucking boobs are like barely covered by anything. It's like hanging off this. It's like way higher. You see like more like side vag and side butt. It's just it's a tasteless version of it. And to me, it makes me sad that they just hypersexualized it for no reason. I'm not gonna say everything is that way in Street Fighter 5. I think Laura is certainly fine. She's clearly like a very sexy character.
She's got a couple though.
She does. Well, no, her alts are awful. She's got some. I'm talking about her normal one. Yeah, some of her alts are really bad. But I think like even Armika, is well made from a character design and art standpoint.
From looking at her, yeah.
So there's lines where this falls and doesn't fall on what I agree with or don't agree with, because I think that in them trying to censor Armika is stupid. Armika is a wrestler. She's funny. She happens to have some boobs. That falls in the line of like, oh, oops, I'm a woman and I have boobs, therefore I'm sexualized. Fuck that.
Is that illegal?
Yeah, fuck that. And I think that's stupid. But there's also some other outfits in 5 that are like, man, they're way more sexualized. So anyway, point being, we already had this, to my original point after I made 5 other points. We already had this in Street Fighter 5 when Sony first bought them. And it did suck and it was stupid, but it ultimately didn't matter. Sorry, I have to finish my red pill and my men's rights. No one ever cared during this time about Zangief. And they never do.
What a shame.
I don't care about Zangief, but it fucking pisses me off when people are like, oh, yeah. And then they're like, you can't have that opinion because you're a man, much less a fucking,
Well.
Like, fuck you.
From
like,
your lofty place of privilege.
Fuck you. Zangief is wearing literally a Speedo. And they're like, well, Zangief he's not sexualized the same way so-and-so character is. Yeah, he fucking is. Like, you just don't care about people that find big hairy men sexy. You only care about the incel gamer nerds who like boobs. You just only care about that. Shut the fuck up. So I do have a problem with that, and it fucking drives me nuts because everybody cares about fucking Armika or Laura, and nobody gives a shit about sexy ass fucking Cody in his fucking literal underwear overall fireman costume. Nobody cares about that. But anyway, that shit drives me fucking nuts. But point being, as bad as it really wasn't an issue. They picked a dumb costume instead, and nobody cared. Yeah. I don't think they would do that to Skullgirls for a couple reasons. One being that they've already dealt with certain degrees of sexiness, but the other being that I think they're not going to have Skullgirls on ESPN.
No, they're not going to have.
So I don't think it's going to affect Evo. Yeah, I do.
Do you think that Skullgirls is going to be at this next Evo that occurs? The next physical in-person Evo.
Well,
Skullgirls specifically. You think it's a different issue, but it's the same issue, just taken to the nth degree.
No, I don't think so. I think the question of whether Skullgirls will be at Evo has nothing to do with this particular topic. I think if we, so I think
you don't think it's a factor.
No. So hang on. Let me clarify that. I think Skullgirls will or will not be at Evo based on Skullgirls' relative popularity, what other games get on, yada, yada, yada. Then, assuming Skullgirls is at Evo, there might be an issue with Skullgirls being on ESPN if that happened. But I do
not expect it to be on ESPN.
Neither do I. So if you look at the ESPN comparison, then the only thing that was on ESPN was fucking Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 5. Yeah.
So I think it'll be the same deal where these games will or won't make it to Evo based on community popularity, availability, netcode, fucking in person, all this, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. That'll be what determines what games get to Evo. I don't think that's going to change. I think Sony knows it would be shooting itself in the foot to even fuck with that. I do think they will go into the exact insane controlling manipulative mode you're scared of for anything that gets television broadcast, for anything that is there, because they ultimately don't care about 99% of what happens at Evo.
They just want it to look good after the fact.
They don't care about it. They care about that. And so that game, whatever game is in the top, it's going to be Street Fighter, or it's going to be, and they would love it to be Street Fighter. It's not going to be
Guilty Gear.
No, it won't. But they would love it. They would love it to be, I think, Street Fighter. But it, assuming it ever happens, it could be the fucking Riot video game. I don't know. I don't think there are many games they're going to allow on ESPN that aren't Street Fighter.
Sure. Which kind of makes sense because
maybe Melee, maybe Ultimate. Probably not even.
And that's assuming that Smash even makes it to Evo.
Yes, and that's exactly where. Yeah, right. So that depends on the whole Nintendo Sony relationship and how that plays out. I know I'm biased because these are the games that I like, but all of your games are weird and obscure and niche, and you have Dunning-Kruger. The only two games that anyone gives a shit about...
I'm wrong.
you are. The only two games that anyone gives a shit about is Smash and Street Fighter at that degree. Period. There is not any other game that they're going to put on television. Convince me I'm wrong. What fucking game do you think can pull that weight? The Riot
Marvel
fighting game.
3.
No.
The Riot... Yeah,
no,
Riot
Marvel
2.
3 cannot pull that weight. You're very wrong.
I don't know, man. It's got all the characters from the MCU. You could see Captain America.
Nobody's putting that on television, Alex. I'll pay you fucking $20 if I'm wrong. I will literally bet you $20. Nobody is fucking putting Marvel 3 on fucking TV. It's not happening. No way.
Well, maybe not anymore. But back in the height, I could have seen it.
Maybe. Yeah, if you're saying when Marvel 3 was one of the games, I will give you that.
Yeah.
But
not as much these days.
Not as much these days, quote unquote, being the understatement of the century. But yes, you're right. Please continue.
I guess my whole fear isn't with specific regards to Skullgirls, and it's not Smash.
Do you want to talk about your announcement? I may have sidetracked you, by the way.
The announcement was actually in the same announcement that you had. They said we want to reaffirm that harassment or abuse has no kind of place within Evo or any of our future events. I was just going to tell you about how they're making sure that what's his face. They are taking steps to distance themselves from the image that came with Mr. Wizard's
Sony sex touch bad. No bad sex touch, Sony. Corporations.
Exactly.
America. Marketing.
But I think it's more compelling the thought that Sony will use that same impetus, that same want to control their brand image to determine the roster. I think that's what's going to have the biggest impact at Evo. I think that Sony's acquisition of Evo, the biggest thing that's going to change, and I do feel necessarily that it will, is the roster. I can't imagine. Yeah.
Do you think Skullgirls is like sexy, offensive enough for that to be an issue?
I think
there are some boobs in the game, but
yeah, I don't know. Look at Philia's standing model. I really like Skullgirls, but it is a horny ass game. But I think that Skullgirls.
I want you to know that I just typed Philia Skullgirls into Google to try and search for her standing model when you said that, and Google auto completed when I typed Philia space SKU. It didn't complete Philia Skullgirls. It completed Philia Skullgirls age.
16. Yeah, no, it's fucking weird, man.
I want you to know that is the number one autocomplete. I wasn't even trying to make that point.
It's a horny ass game.
Oh my god!
I do think that Skullgirls, given that it is having this resurgence, thanks in no small part to Skullgirls Mobile, it has a much bigger appeal than I think you're willing to admit. It does deserve
the Skullgirls IP. Sure.
Yes, that's
the
what
Skullgirls fighting game. No, that's just like Grand Blue. Grand Blue is not a big, amazing game, even though the IP is this crazy, hyper-popular mobile gacha game. At the end of the day, 99% of people in the universe still do not give a fuck about Grand Blue Versus. They don't care. And in fact, if anything, there's this giant section of the Grand Blue community who plays the original game that is shitty and salty towards all of the fighting game players. Because they're like, I don't care, that's a dumb fighting game. I just want to play my weird mobile card game. I don't think it matters. Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that I think that given its resurgence and its popularity from Skullgirls Mobile, in an Evo that is not controlled by Sony, that doesn't have ulterior motives,
there's a better chance.
No, I think it'd be a shoo-in. I think it'd be easy money. I don't think it's going to be on ESPN. I don't have any weird thoughts that they're going to show Philia's heaving bosom on national broadcast television.
Do you think they're gonna? Yeah. So are you saying you think they're gonna pull any games they're not tied with? Because I think that's way too tinfoil hat for me to get behind. I think Sony knows like the optics of that would be awful if they just.
I think there's a real possibility, and I think that there's enough. I think that there's enough beef with Nintendo at this point, especially given Nintendo's statement about we will look and see.
I'm not saying it won't be a factor at all, but I don't think they're just going to purge every non-Sony game. And
I think that Nintendo's response gives them enough of a smokescreen that they could do it and pretend like it wasn't their fault. To say nothing of whether it actually wasn't their fault.
I guess I have more faith in Sony than I do in Nintendo.
Not me. I don't know.
Because I think if it was going to be anyone, it would be Nintendo, not Sony. I mean, I feel like Sony. I don't know. I'm not trying to fucking jack off to the idea of good corporations or anything. I don't really love Sony or give a shit about them, but I feel like I had a similar oh god oh shit moment to this. During all the stuff with Street Fighter V and Sony's money, and I thought they were gonna fuck over the PC version and no one would support it, and they didn't do that at all. I mean, the PC version still exists. I still hate Street Fighter V, but it's all there. And it's not like the Mortal Kombat PC port. I remember I've been looking at all this Mortal Kombat content because of the Ketchup and Mustard YouTube channel that I think I've mentioned briefly. Check out Ketchup and Mustard Mortal Kombat content on YouTube. That's some of the best goddamn. I don't give a fuck about. Right. I don't give a fuck about Mortal Kombat. I don't care. And that I have learned more about Mortal Kombat and cared about more things just because of that YouTube channel. Anyway, the way this is relevant is there was a Mortal Kombat PC game. I think it was MK10. I think
MK10, yeah.
And I remember buying MK10 because I was like, MK9 was a cool game. Maybe I'll get into Mortal Kombat and play some MK10. I bought it on PC, and I'm not even kidding. Not only did the PC port suck ass, they literally just quit. They just quit updating it.
Quit developing it.
They just quit developing it. They didn't tell anyone. No one got a refund. I paid $60 fucking for this game that had no online capabilities. Nothing worked. None of the fucking DLC characters came out. And that was what happened. So my point is, I thought that was what was going to happen with Street Fighter V because of Sony, and Sony absolutely did not cause that. So I don't know if that can give you any comfort, but to me, it seems like Sony is smart enough to know that it is not in their best interest to just to become Apple and cloister themselves off with their IPs. It seems like they know that, and otherwise they would have already done it. I feel like you don't get any comfort from that.
I don't. I don't think that Evo is exclusively going to be Street Fighter V and Guilty Gear. I don't think that.
Okay, what do you think is going to be there? I'm trying to get your Armageddon outlook. I'm trying to understand where your fucking tinfoil hat rabbit hole fucking shelter. How many canned beans do you have stocked up?
Relatively few. I actually just burned through the last of my black beans, making this delicious Cafe Rio style black bean.
God damn it, Alex! That was not a literal question.
I'm sorry. My bad. It's good. You mix canned tomato juice, not like soup or anything, but the little V8 sort of 10-ounce cans. Mm-hmm. And you let it simmer and reduce. It's delicious. Anyway, about Evo.
What do you think's gonna happen? Really? What do you really think? If you're just trying to tell me what you think is gonna happen at Evo.
I think that the next, assuming that coronavirus isn't a factor, I think the next Evo is going to be Street Fighter V in an apocalypse doomsday scenario. Street Fighter V, new Guilty Gear, Grand Blue, and maybe like 2 other games, small games. I don't know if the Riot game will be out by the time we're having in-person.
If it is, it'll definitely be a
game
thing.
tournaments.
If it isn't, yeah.
Yeah.
You think
And I
Grand
think
Blue
that-
is less offensive than Skullgirls?
Considerably. As a Skullgirls player, yeah, obviously.
I don't know about that.
Who
Grand
is
Blue
sexier
pretty
than
fucking horny, dude?
who?
Grand Blue is pretty fucking horny. Grand Blue has fucking what's her fucking it horny orgasm character with the bow, Matera.
Matera?
Matera literally comes every time she does anything. She literally fucking is like, like she's just constantly coming. She's talking about making you come every time she does anything. Fucking Narmaya has big ol' honkers, and everybody's fucking weirded out by her. They got little tiny baby horny girls in Grand Blue. Like, I don't think Grand Blue is bad at all, personally, but I think on the spectrum of horniness, there are some horny ass characters in Grand Blue. Dude, fucking, oh my god, dude, fucking old man just wants to go to the sauna and get naked and fuck you. Like, not in a gay way, just, you know, be a man. 2 men having sex after battle.
There's nothing sexy about a guy in a Speedo. We have already established that if
I would give you that, except that he is a horny old man in his voice lines as well. So like Zangief just happens to wear a Speedo and happens to be a big, sexy beef muscle cake
Russian
man.
bear.
But then like he doesn't talk about it. Whereas what the fuck is his name? I can't Soya. He has like a whole song about fucking people in saunas, and fucking one of his lines is like, I'm a dirty old man. It sure was great to look at you while we fought. Like that's like what he says to like the fucking chicks when he fights them. It's like ridiculous. So I don't think Grand Blue is a particularly horny game in a lot of ways, but it certainly has horny elements. I'm not seeing Skullgirls is not. I don't think Skullgirls is hornier than Grand Blue. It's just weirder.
I do.
It's just weirder than Grand Blue.
It's explicitly hornier than Grand Blue.
What lines am I missing where they talk about boning characters in Skullgirls?
Lord, fucking anything that Valentine says, Nurse Valentine.
Oh, now that super boob nurse lady. Oh man,
yeah.
No, I do need a shower every time I see her sprites. That's definitely
seriously.
real. That's definitely real. She's a sexy. That's like as bad as Matera. You think that's worse than Matera? Bro, Matera is horny. Listen to some Matera fucking lines.
I'm not saying that Matera isn't horny. I'm just saying I think Valentine is hornier. Just look at the characters just standing. You don't have to play the game. Just like watch 10 seconds of Parasol's idle animation and watch her breasts knock her out and give her a black eye. It's kind of weird, man. And like, you know, Skullgirls is this great phenomenal fighting game with this wonderful interplay about combo mechanics. It's a great
her out in her idle animation.
They don't, but they feel like they should at least give her a black eye. The way that they just flop from her standing there.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying the game is explicitly horny. I think that Annie, the new character that came out, is proof that they're trying to take a step away from that image. Now she's still got like thigh highs, and she's, you know,
she's less
kind of young,
super overtly horny.
Yeah, her breasts aren't like, you know, possessed like every other character in the game.
I'm gonna put some notes in my on my notebook of ideas, like a new horror novel called Ghost Boobs. Possessed breasts. There you go. I think it would be
breasts.
Breasted. You got breasted. Breast cest. And there's something there. There's a combo.
There's something. Just breasts. Very small amount of workshopping for that. I just think it would be easy to call a lot of games that should be at an Evo. Skullgirls in this day and age should be at an Evo, and I don't think it will be.
I'm gonna say you're. I think you're over
paranoid.
Yeah, I think you're over paranoid. I think if Skullgirls isn't at Evo, it will not be because of the boobs. It'll be because nobody gives a shit about the game. And like, that's the only factor that I'm thinking compared to these other games.
Take your implicit bias out for just a second and consider that I earnestly believe that if Evo were running and not controlled by Sony, that Skullgirls would be there. Just take that at face value. You don't have to agree with the sentiment. I don't think that it will make it because I think Sony being in charge of this is going to not want it there.
Take your implicit bias out, Alex.
Yes,
Take your implicit bias out. The reason
Skullgirls
Skullgirls is doing well right now is not because the game is good. And I'm not saying the game is bad, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. That's not my point. But it's not doing well because of anything about the game other than that it has very good netcode and it's COVID. That's why it's doing well.
That's like saying the only reason that Street Fighter 4 did well is because it was fun. Like, yeah.
No, it's not. That's not remotely the same thing. That's not remotely the same thing at all.
You're saying, Alex, just think about it, Alex. If Skullgirls didn't have good netcode, like, no one would play it online. Like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, no. So no, it's that there is more focus on online and more focus on games that have good netcodes. It's the same reason we all know Grand Blue would have done really well, except that it has dog shit netcode. And if that wouldn't have mattered if COVID didn't happen. Grand Blue would have done well because the game is great and approachable and good, and we know it got fucked because of COVID. In the same line of thinking, I think this is super true. Like, you're just wrong if you disagree. Skullgirls is doing better because it does have good netcode, and it is COVID.
Certainly is.
I mean, that's just how it is. And I'm not saying the game has no merit and the game wouldn't have done well at all without COVID. But I think you would be crazy to deny that Skullgirls has received a boon because and hats off to it for having actual good netcode, unlike most fighting games, because developers are fucking incompetent morons. But it does have good netcode, and it is doing better during COVID because of that. I mean, that's just, that's real. So I feel like if COVID is still a factor, it would shock me for Skullgirls not to be included, even considering Sony's bullshit. Because, it's already been put on multiple lists of games for tournaments,
including Evo.
For tournaments that have had to deal with online because of COVID. Everyone's like, well, Skullgirls is a no-brainer. Why? Because the online is really good.
The netcode exists.
Okay. Well, then,
it
makes perfect sense.
Then this will make for a perfect litmus test, assuming that COVID is still a factor, which it should be, because I imagine we'll also be masked well into having everybody vaccinated. If Skullgirls is at Evo, then we'll know that Sony can just, let some shit rock. And if it's not, we'll know that they can't.
No, your logic is awful. Go back to the Ghost episode where you're like, you check things off the thing, and then you're like, oh yeah, if it isn't normal thing A, normal thing B, then you get to the bottom, and then you just assume it's a ghost. That was your point. You're doing that right now, you fucking piece of shit. You are doing that right now. You're like, well, if Skullgirls isn't there, and you're like, okay, I'm reading, you're logical, and then you're just like,
no. This is assuming that COVID is a factor. Assuming that COVID is a factor.
Alex, you cannot check off a couple of things and then be like, because this didn't happen, this is proof that ghosts are real. You cannot do that. That is what you're doing. Now, I will give you, this is where your logic is so fucking, I can't even follow you. But like, I will give you that it might be more like, it would prove that could be a thing. But it does not prove, like, just because Skullgirls is not at Evo does not prove that it's not there because Sony hates the horniness of it. That's what I'm getting at. That is not a thing. That's not how that works. You're just looking at me like, I don't understand how anyone could think anything else, Will.
No.
That's math. It's not.
No, hold on. Like, you just said Skullgirls hype is fake and nobody plays the game, but people play it because it's got good online and it's COVID outside.
I didn't say nobody plays it, but I think it gets
not enough people. It's niche. It's fake. Dunning-Kruger.
It gets extra support because it has good online in an environment that requires good online. The same way Grand Blue gets less support because it's online as shit. I mean, how does that not make sense?
So if that environment persists and Skullgirls is in there, you've set up this weird. You're doing an option select. If it gets in because there's good netcode. If it doesn't get in, it's because nobody likes the game. Never minding the fact that there's agency there for Sony.
I feel like you're taking a very binary look at what I said. I don't think either of those things proves it, but I'm just talking about like the likeliness of the aforementioned factors. So like I think it's more likely or less likely. I don't think if it gets in, it's only because of online. But I think if we're betting, I think and it's an online tournament, you would be silly not to include Skullgirls. Yes. But
Okay.
I don't think you should assume
if
that
it
if
is
it
an
doesn't
online
get in,
tournament and it's not in, why?
Certainly could. Yeah. Okay, Alex. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If if I see a thing in the sky and the government denounces its existence, it must be an alien spacecraft. That is literally what you're doing right now, Alex.
It is not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm not. It could be. Could be that it's an alien spacecraft. Could be that Sony hates boobs. Might be. Doesn't guarantee it's because Sony hates boobs. This is my point.
It's March now. Hypothetical Evo Online 2021 is in July. They announced the roster in May, and they say we're rolling this out low and slow. Street Fighter V and Guilty Gear confirmed, and we're pleased to announce that Skullgirls ... If they say it won't be there, why?
Why would they say they were pleased to announce Skullgirls won't be there?
They wouldn't. This is a weird world we live in. They're not going to say that.
Yeah, so I don't understand what your question is.
Okay. They announced the lineup in Skullgirls.
Are you asking me to give you a reasoning for why Skullgirls wouldn't be that isn't the boobs? Is that basically what you're getting at?
In a hypothetical COVID Online.
You are. This is like jet fuel won't melt steel beams, and you just don't know about it. How do I get through to this kid? Okay, so if there are, I will here. Okay, let me try and find something that will make sense to you while you're constructing fedoras out of tinfoil. Okay, coffee beeps. Okay.
Oh, happy coffee beeps.
I would say the number of games is where I do or don't join you in conspiracy land.
Okay.
If there are like 2 games,
that's because
then you're
Sony
wrong.
only wanted 2 games. Wait,
yeah.
What?
Then if there are like 2 games, then you're wrong about Sony's hatred, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the boobs or not. They're just going to pick games that are better and more popular, and it's going to be, well, better is obviously not a real thing, but
it's going to be Street Fighter V and Guilty Gear. There's only 2 games. It's those 2 games.
Exactly. Yeah. If there are, I will say, if there are like 5 games at this hypothetical event that is online, and one of them isn't Skullgirls, and there's 5 games, I would say that would make me lean towards your conclusion of Sony hating boobs.
Okay. I can live with that. I can accept that. I don't even need you to say when it happens. I don't need you to say, Alex, you were right. I'm above that. That's all I needed.
You really think there's going to be like 5 games at this hypothetical online Evo event run by Sony?
I can't name 5 games.
That's what I'm saying. So like that's what I mean. Like there's no way. Like Skullgirls is going to be a shoo-in if there's a couple games, if there's several games, because it's one of few games that has good online. That is. So
you're saying in excess of 5 games at this hypothetical Evo Online 2021. If there's more than 5 games, if there's 10 games and none of them are Skullgirls. If
there's 10 games and none of them are Skullgirls, that makes absolutely no sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes absolutely no sense.
I can live with this. This is good information for me. I can take this all the way to the bank. This is fine, and all I have to do is just wait several months, and you don't have to tell me I'm right, and I rest assured I won't tell you that I'm right. But when I say, "Hey, well," and you see my eyebrows just bounce up just a little bit, know that that's my admission that I knew in my heart of hearts that I was right the whole time. Just hypothetically speaking.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think they're gonna do like Microsoft games? Do you think they would put Killer Instinct in before they put Skullgirls in?
I think they would put Killer Instinct in before they put Skullgirls in. I think they would put Smash in before they put in Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I feel like Killer Instinct is the lowest rung because it's the more direct competitor, being a Microsoft endorsed game that is only playable on Xbox and PC.
To that end,
Skullgirls is on PlayStation.
To that end, Alex, I would say that
you're so
no. This is fine.
I'm going to win. When we go back in the future, and you think you're going to be so smug.
When the Evo roster's been announced, I'm going to be out here eating a crow.
Yeah,
not eating crow, but eating just a little bird.
Unlike you, I will not wink. I will shove the crow down your throat, and I will laugh heartily as it occurs.
If I could clarify, I don't think that specifically Sony is so puritanical, and that's the only thing that they're concerned with. I would say that them keeping Killer Instinct out would be as indicative of the problem I have with Sony's control of Evo. If they are so concerned with managing their competitor getting a limelight. I think we can agree
more on that. I think there's if we're talking about I am way more concerned about Sony doing those kinds of things to Microsoft products than I am
Yes.
Nintendo
Yes,
or Skullgirls or any of that.
I would say that is another thing to be concerned about. I don't think specifically that Sony is just a puritanical company. I think that in an effort to manage the brand of Evo and thus the brand of Sony, they would be unlikely to give Microsoft a platform, unlikely to give Nintendo a platform, and probably more puritanical than in the past when Evo was more grassroots.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I think that's, like I said, a concern, and certainly a bigger concern for IPs that are more direct competitors, which would basically just include Killer Instinct. But
almost exclusively.
Yeah, there's really not a lot else there on that list. Yeah. That also kind of makes me think they maybe wouldn't give a shit because they already have such a like strong hold on it. Could be a whole nother conversation about the Riot fighting game. I don't know how I feel about that. They might.
I think it'll come out on console.
It probably will, but I'm saying like I don't know how they would assess that as a relative competitor or not. But yeah, I guess my final major point being like I don't think Skullgirls is nearly as we'll say at risk
as Killer Instinct or Smash. That's another.
I don't know about Smash, but for sure Killer Instinct.
Okay, but Killer Instinct specifically.
Smash has more factors because it's not just Sony the way it is with the other ones.
Yeah, because Nintendo is just
there's
really
nothing
weird.
From the Skullgirls developer or the Killer Instinct developers or even Microsoft that is wanting them to not participate because it's a Sony event.
Correct.
It's only the other way around. Sony might not want them to participate because it's a Sony event. Whereas with Smash, Nintendo is that kind of fucking bitch, and they might have a problem with it because they're Nintendo. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Do you remember Soul Calibur 2?
Yeah, great game. Love Soul Calibur
2. Which game? What system did you play it on?
GameCube and occasionally Xbox. The only one I didn't play on was PlayStation.
The
one I had at home was GameCube.
PlayStation. Okay. They originally the Soul Calibur developers were trying to put Link in as the new character for all of the games, but then Nintendo pitched a fit, and then they were like, they were
Nintendo
like, oh
is
shit,
the reason
fine.
that there are dumb exclusives in every version of Soul Calibur that prevents any character that isn't exclusive from being a tournament played character. And we could have just all had Link, and he would have been a real character that everyone could have played, and I would have actually played that game in tournament because it was so fucking cool. And my main was Link and Astaroth, but I couldn't play Link because he was exclusive because Nintendo's stupid. Wow.
Yep. They did that, and then
fucking
there was.
Nintendo,
I'd have to go back and think about like what specific game it was, but there was some game where they had like Mario and Fox and stuff figurines just like chilling in a place, and Nintendo was like, "You fucked up, man. You can't put these here."
Yeah.
They have a history of deliberately trying to fuck Sony over.
Well, anything much, not even Sony specifically. I mean, maybe specifically, but also just anyone Sony, because Nintendo, fucking Jesus. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think. Actually, I was gonna have like a final thought on what I think about it, and I realized that I am actually not decided on that either. I don't know if I think overall this is a good or a bad thing.
It's a good thing that Evo will persist. It would be a bad thing if Evo were mismanaged, and I think it's okay not to have to make the call yet because we don't know.
I think
there's too many factors.
That goes without saying. Yeah, if it's mismanaged, but I mean, I'm just trying to think like. I think I'm trying to give my projection.
You're trying to
and I suppose my answer is that I actually don't know.
You can't. None of us can. There's a lot to be concerned about. I'm usually
pretty good at looking at some things and deciding a thing about it and thinking that I know where it's going to go. And honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's going to definitely be awful. But I think the most
certainly
likely
has the capacity.
The most likely scenario is that it's going to be a little bit better or a little bit worse in ways that are irrelevant. But even then, I'm like, I don't really know if I feel like it's definitely going to be a negative or definitely going to be a positive. It's just very, there are a lot of, factors. Yeah. There's a lot of factors.
There's too much to consider. I honestly, even as paranoid as I come off, I don't know what way the wind will blow. I would not bet anything of value on this.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've had a podcast today, Alex.
Just about, more or less.
All right. Well, I have been MetalMusicMan.
And I've been Professor Lexs.
And we will catch you guys next time.
See ya.